What's up guys, it's Michael from DistroMike, and today we're going to go over the costs associated for making a disposable vape. We're going to go over the hardware, the raw materials, your terpenes, your packaging, and your labor. So for the first example, we're going to go over a 1 gram disposable. So for the hardware costs on a 1 gram disposable, you're looking, we'll call it $3.25 for a good quality disposable that's gonna have very minimal issues. That's gonna include your shipping costs from China to the US, and then any sort of fees or customs that you may have to pay. So you got $3.25 for the hardware itself. Next thing we need to consider is the actual raw material or your distillate that's going inside the vape. So in the current market, a kilo, meaning 1,000 grams, so 1 kilo of say Delta 8 is gonna cost anywhere between $300 to maybe $1,000, depending on how many you're buying and who you're getting it from and a few other variables. So if you're getting a kilo of Delta 8 for $300, that means 1 gram of Delta 8 costs you 30 cents. If you're buying a kilo for $1,000, that means 1 gram of D8 costs you $1. So we'll average it out and say that a gram of Delta 8 costs 50 cents. So we've got our raw materials at 50 cents. Next, we're gonna talk about terpenes. Terpenes are what adds the flavor to your vape products. So terpenes they drastically vary on price. You have some lower quality terpenes that may cost you $1 a gram, and you have higher quality terpenes that may cost you $5 or $6 a gram. Volumes are also a huge variable in the price. If you're buying 50 grams of terps versus 2 kilos of terps, you're gonna get charged a different amount. So let's just ballpark figure it and say that you're gonna spend $2 a gram on your terps. We normally do a 5 or 6% terp ratio, meaning for every gram of distillate we're using, if we're using 5% terps, that means we're gonna add 0.05 grams of terpenes into our distillate. So if it costs us $2 a gram and we're using 5% of 1 gram, the terpenes alone are gonna cost us an extra 10 cents. So hardware at $3.25, your distillate at 50 cents, your terpenes at 10 cents. Next, we're gonna go over packaging. So there's a ton of different types of packaging in the market. You have smaller packaging, which is gonna cost you a bit less. You have, middle ground packaging, and then you've got some larger packaging, which is, normally a bit thicker paper. Maybe it's got some embossing and some soft touch on it. Maybe there's another box inside you're using for your, holding box for the vape. Your lower quality packaging, we'll call it 25 cents. Your higher quality packaging, maybe upwards of even $1. Now, to get all this put together, we have labor costs. Depending on the type of vape or how many you're doing or how much you're paying your employees, your labor could be anywhere between 25 cents upwards of 50 cents, but let's call it 50 cents per vape if you're including, your hard costs such as rent, insurance, workers' comp, all these other things. So the labor cost to put a vape together is 50 cents. So now with these numbers here, if we add these all up, we have $3.25 for the hardware, plus 50 cents for the raw materials, so we're at $3.75, plus another 10 cents for terps, and 25 cents if we're using the lower quality packaging. So now we're at $4.10, and then we have another potentially 50 cents for labor. So let's call that $4.60. So if I'm making a 1 gram D8 disposable with decent hardware, relatively cheap raw materials, and some lower quality packaging, my all-in cost is under $5. If we're using higher quality packaging or our raw materials are a little more expensive, or our terps are a little more expensive, you know, that number could be upwards of say $6. So for a 1 gram D8 disposable, we're in for between $4.50 and $6, depending on a few different variables. Now let's see what it looks like for a 2 gram disposable. The reason that 2 and 3 gram disposables have really taken off in the market is for an incremental price increase, you're able to get a ton more value to the end consumer. They're able to get double the amount of product or even triple amount of the product for only really a couple dollars more. So for a 2 gram disposable, let's say the hardware costs us an extra quarter. They weigh a little bit more, shipping costs a little bit more, the materials may be more. So for the hardware itself, we're at $3.50. Now, instead of putting 1 gram of distillate in our vape, we're having to put 2 grams. So if we base these numbers off of our previous example, 2 grams of Delta 8 is gonna cost us $1. We need now double the amount of terps since we have double the amount of product. So now we're at 20 cents for the terps. Our packaging cost should stay the same, somewhere between 25 cents and a buck. Let's just call it 25 cents for this example. And then our labor costs are also staying the same. So the only differences in price between making a 1 gram versus a 2 gram is gonna be a slight increase in the hardware costs, a slight increase in the terpene costs, and then an increase in your raw materials. So if we have $3.50 for the hardware, plus $1 for the raw materials, we're at $4.50. We've got another 20 cents for terps, another 25 cents for packaging, and 50 cents for labor. We're looking at $5.45. So it costs me about $1 extra to make a 2 gram disposable compared to a 1 gram disposable. And that's on the low end. If you're using higher quality terps, more expensive raw materials, or more expensive packaging, you know, that could be upwards of say $6.50 to $7. So we'll say a 1 gram vape that's D8 is gonna cost me $4.50 to $6. A 2 gram vape is gonna cost me anywhere between $5.50 and $7. And then we'll run through the 3 gram really quickly because 3 grams are coming to the market. We're releasing our own 3 gram disposable. So we'll hop into that real quick. Hardware cost, pretty much the same between a 2 gram and a 3 gram. So we'll call it $3.50 for the hardware. We now need 3 grams of distillate. So at 50 cents a gram, that's gonna be $1.50. Our terp cost goes up again. So we'll call it 30 cents for terps. Our packaging is probably the same, so 25 cents, and our labor is the same. So I mean, we have an increase of only 60 cents between a 2 gram and a 3 gram. So we're between, call it $6 and $7.50 to make a 3 gram Delta 8 vape. Now, there are a few things that could really throw these numbers off. If we're talking about our distillate being $2 a gram instead of 50 cents a gram, these numbers are gonna be quite a bit different. I'll run through that really quick, just for one of the options. So let's say we're doing a 1 gram disposable, costs us $3.25 for hardware. We're using some really high quality or premium distillate products. So that gram of distillate is gonna cost us $2. Let's say we're using some really high-end terps that cost $5 a gram. We're gonna be looking at 25 cents for terps. Let's say we're going really, really nice packaging. So call it $1 for the packaging and then still 50 cents for the labor. We're at $3, $4, $5, $6, $7. So for a 1 gram vape with better packaging, better terps, better hardware, whatever you wanna call it, we're looking at, $7 instead of that, $4.50 to $5 range. But with that being said, I mean, the prices aren't too different. Most raw materials are pretty similar in cost. The hardware is pretty similar. So I mean, on a cost of goods to put something like this together, on the low end, you're looking at $4.50 for a 1 gram disposable. On the high, really, really high end, you're looking at $7 to $8. But I mean, it's a pretty incremental price difference. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Got some good, insight and feedback on what it actually costs to make all this stuff. If you're interested in making your own brand or you have any more questions, go to distromike.com, leave us a comment below, do whatever you need to get in touch with us, and we'll make sure we get you taken care of, answer any of your questions, and see if we can't, start a mutually beneficial relationship. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll be back soon. Have a nice day.